Welcome into our Ancient Magus Bride panel. My name's Ann Chambers. I've always say hi to me.
And I'm not Danny Chambers. I'm Brian Magus, and I am Elias Ainsworth.
So we're here to talk about the show. If anybody has any questions, you can come up here to the microphone.
The microphone?
And ask questions so you can line up. Like if we're talking, you can just stand up and that's still totally fine. We're okay with that. It's gonna chill. It's not gonna be super hardcore or anything like that. So yeah.
It's not going to be super hardcore. I'm so disappointed. Dang it. I don't even know what that means in this situation.
Just like show them all like my AMVs of the show.
Yeah. I wish we could show the fans like alternates, like blooper reels, but they don't let us keep those. I know there's been some zingers. Yeah.
They do have some bloopers depending on certain discs, like they used to. Back in the day. But yeah, I wish they did. Well, we do have like some behind the scenes. There's one where me and Kyle interviewed, did like a little interview.
Yes, one of the DVDs. Yeah.
So I guess we'll start off with like so when you got cast, when you got this and you got cast, what did you think? Like, what did you think? Like, what was your reaction?
What did I think when I got cast? Well, I didn't know anything about the show, and Kyle Phillips had cast me, and we came in for the first session, and Kyle basically said, "Hey, I want you to do this part. I don't know what he sounds like yet. I don't know if he's going to have an English accent because we're set in England. I really don't know. So I want to use this time to kind of play around and discover some things." So we actually read some of the lines in a kind of a quasi-English accent. And then we kind of drifted away from that because we were like, well, he's not really human, and even though he's in England, he can time travel, he can do those kind of things. So what kind of English accent would he have? What kind of reach? So then it got so lofty, we were like, okay, we're gonna make this way too hard. And regionalizing his voice and everything. So we kind of came up with this kind of standard American emotionless kind of thing that was also warm and non-threatening. So that's where he landed with that.
I think it sounds great. Good job.
Thanks. Thanks, Dan. And we actually never met each other until what,
4 weeks after.
4 weeks after we started recording.
Yeah.
So
that's the thing. We don't really get to record together in the studio. We're all just we're in just a box with a microphone, like literally like this in a small box. And I wish we could record together, but it's just the way we record everything in the industry. It's very difficult to record with other people when it's dubbing, especially. You turned it on. Okay. No, I don't need it. I don't know why I grabbed it. I just need something.
you needed a prop.
I needed, yeah. I don't know if I wanted it. I wish we could. It would be really cool if we had that chance to, but unfortunately the technology's not there yet. But it will be. When I got cast, it was my first official lead role at Funimation. I had been there for about 3 or 4 months doing lots of Walla, and mainly for One Piece at the time. Oh my god, so much Walla for One Piece.
Which is also pretty impressive that she was there, 3 or 4 months, and then she was doing like roles, because
it's hard.
Yeah.
It's hard
So
to get into there.
good on you. Give yourself a little parade for that.
No, it was fun. It was very humbling though, because doing roles like that, like I would come in for like an hour for like One Piece Wall, and we're like, okay, scream for 2 minutes, okay, cool. Then you're gonna do this, which is really simple, right? You do that with your friends. It's fun. But with the lead role, you have a lot more time and you spend more time with this character, and it's hard because you're like, oh, okay, I have to find these emotional beats, and I have to figure out, how the Japanese is doing, because I still want to honor what they're doing, but also we put our interpretation on it as well. So when I got cast, I didn't know what this was for. I walked in, I saw this redheaded girl on the screen. Oh, okay, cool. What is this? I don't know. And the engineer, his name was Jose. I think it was Jose at the time. He's like, yeah, you're gonna be playing Chise. I'm like, what's a Chise? I was like, I don't know what that is. And Kyle comes in like, yeah, have you played Chise? She's the main lead for my show. And I was like, I'm sorry. You want me to play with you? He's like, yeah, I liked working with you. I really like your voice. And I was like, because usually, because a lot of people don't like the sound of their own voice. It's fair. I still don't. But like, it was cool, and the fact that he said that it comforted me, because I was like, that's really, he would be. And it made me actually think, like, I can do this. I can actually do this. Because a lot of people expect me to sound, so,
Like you're from Wyoming?
No.
Because that's what I thought.
I'm gonna ask who I'm talking to.
Oh, I'm sorry, Idaho.
Yeah, right. A lot
Montana. Let's keep naming mountain states.
because growing up, a lot of people don't expect me. They expect me to sound a certain way. So when I got the chance to prove, hey, we don't all sound the same, just like everybody else doesn't sound the same. I wanted to prove that, hey, we can do this too. So it was really cool to be able to just kind of prove that, not just to everybody, but to myself too. So it's really an honor. That's great.
Do you have any questions?
Yeah.
So, sorry.
You're good.
I'm kind of, this is important questions.
Yeah.
Okay. Take your time.
In your opinions, why do you think that Brienne is just so sexy in this show?
Who?
Brienne?
Brian.
I just,
Which
Second season.
second season?
yeah.
Oh, the nurse lady?
The Gorgon
The court.
with the snakes on his head and the head.
Oh,
Okay.
I don't know. I don't.
You did great, by the way. No, it's okay. He's a smaller character, you guys know. I was like, I know. I'm sorry. We have to do it. Oh, this is so great. You did great.
Rico's gonna give you signed prints of all of his stuff now.
I was wondering why he was still in here.
I was thinking the same thing too. I went, wait a minute.
I thought you said Brian, and I was like, who's Brian? Brian, because we said his name so many freaking different times recording it. Brian.
Yeah, that's always fun. You get interesting sounding names. There's been many times in the studio when you will come across a name that is written interesting, and you go, oh, how do we say this? And they'll have to go back and see what the first actor did that said that name, and sometimes that'll take a few minutes to find out how they said it, because so many names will have, well, look at mine. I mean, we were talking about that today. There was this whole debate, was it going to be Elias or Elias?
That was a headache and a half. Yeah, so because this came out in 2017, the first season. I think it's 2017, and so it's been 7 years since the last time we recorded it. So it's like, you don't remember anything. That's a long time to remember a lot of this detail. So whenever we recorded it, the first half of the second season, Chris George directed it, and then the second half was Anthony Bowling, but then he left during the season, and then I took over season 2. So it was kind of really cool to be able to direct the thing. I got to officially be a part of my first time there. So.
I hated it.
I made him beat everything like 3 times. No, no, it was fun.
No, it was great. It was great.
Yeah, getting to direct all the actors, especially the new ones too, to tell them a story. Like, yeah, a story about this girl, and she's got crazy stuff going on, but she learns this, like trying to explain all of season 1, and you know how complicated all that is. Trying to explain all that to the actors for season 2. It was difficult, but it was fun. We got to work with everybody, and a lot of the characters I'm like seeing shipping in my head, like Lucy and Snake Dude. Yes.
Snake Dude.
Snake George plays him.
Yeah.
So I think it's hold on, I'm gonna go there.
Lee George.
Hold on.
Who's directing me on a new show I can't talk about.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
I love that when you go, don't talk about it.
But it's not even happening.
Anyway.
Does anyone have any other questions? Yeah.
So I'm fascinated to know that you all like record your lines by yourselves, and yet in the show, it's seamless how you're interacting, your characters are interacting. How do you like try to watch the Japanese beforehand? Do you read the script? Like what goes in? How do you make that isolated dialogue flow so well when it gets spliced together?
That's a really great question, and it is an acting, what we call an acting problem. All right, what does that problem mean? That means that you have to make all of this, cohesive, make it fit. So one of the ways that I approach it, I don't know how she does, but her name is Danny. I don't know how who is she? Say she. Who is it? When we go into the studio, we will have 2 screens. We will have a screen that shows the actual show, and we have a screen that has a document up that we can read the script, and we can see all of the previous lines and that sort of thing. Sometimes the previous lines have already been recorded in English, and so we can hear what their emotional intent is, right? But sometimes we don't. And when we watch in the Japanese, we can hear what their emotional intention is, because we're hearing them saying it in their own native language, and then we can read what the translation is in English. And with a really good director, we have they're setting us up saying, okay, this is what has happened up to now. This is happening. This is what's going to happen right after this. And a lot of times that's the only parameters that you get. So that's where your improvisation skills come in really handy, and really listening to what has happened prior to the moment that you're about to speak. Then just trusting your director to guide you through that process of, we need more of this, we need him to be a little more whimsical in this moment, we need a little more questioning in this moment. Does that sort of answer your question?
Also, the engineers as well. They're the reason why we sound so good. They're the ones that record it and splice everything together. And also, like, it also depends. Sometimes, like, because usually we'll have most of the lines, one of us will be the first ones to start recording. And so sometimes it's like, okay, cool, you think that would be like the best, but usually you don't want to, because you want to hear what the other person does so you can bounce off of them. And it's like, so usually I'm always like, if Tara was like, can you come in? I was like, you didn't schedule. Is Brian gonna be in before me?
Right.
No, not available. I could do like in 2 days or something like that. Because I like reading off of him, because because of how Elias's character is, it helps me determine how Chisei is going to react in her read. And so, I mean, yeah, based off the J, but I don't understand Japanese. I don't know their intonation and what they're saying. So it makes it easier to listen to what he's doing. So I can like, okay, so he's doing that, and I can it's like, for example, in season 1 where he bathes her for the first time, you know, and he's like, stop squirming so I can do the thing, and then she's like, oh my god, and then after he leaves, doing the he saw everything thing, scene or line, I was like, this is so great. So after he says this line, I was like, he saw everything, and it was nice because I got to hear like him just being oblivious to what he just did, and and then going off of that, it's like, oh my god, he doesn't understand. So it's things like that that help get other actors into character to be able to get the performance appropriate.
Which is another reason why it would be nice to be in the studio together.
Yes.
Because then you have the, you know, acting is reacting, right? So it would help us, you know, profoundly to be able to hear what the other person is doing, to make stronger choices. You know, not to get all actory, but and the only way I could illustrate that is if we were able to show you a take of us recording separately without hearing anything, and then having the opportunity to record it together, hearing those emotional intentions there, and then you would hear a much stronger difference.
That's what you next time on Christmas scripts, and we just do like scenes too.
Good. And then you would go, why didn't you do that? That's another thing. I listen to stuff all the time and go, oh, I wish I made a better choice or a stronger choice on this, or I wish I had done the other. But you know, once it's recorded, it's recorded.
Yeah.
But I'm sure there's a lot of musicians and singers that feel like, well, I wish I had done this lick different. I wish I had, you know, phrased this word different.
Or in the shower, and you're like, I could have said that during the argument.
I always record in the shower. I have a closet full of tapes.
Just you singing
It's just me singing Broadway songs. It's like, Mathis does all of Merman's favorite hits. Anyway, all right. What other kinds of questions about the show? Yes, sir.
So here's one as a follow-up for Danny. Kind of from season 1 to season 2, you see that progression from Chisei grows a character from someone who's given up to somebody who has kind of gained her confidence in her own stride. So was it more fun for you early to kind of play that role of someone who really had some trauma, or to grow into like your own person?
Honestly, I had more fun in season 2 just because of what she went through. Because to be honest, I know what the hell I was doing when I was recording the first season. Because I was new and I was like, I didn't first thing, well, I don't want to screw it up. But like just going through that journey with her was so eye-opening and invigorating, and it was like my favorite episode is episode 12. I won't say why for spoiler reasons who hasn't seen it, but there's a shift in her that you physically see, and that's when she's starting to change as a person and learning all the lessons she learned in the previous episodes, and it's so good. And then you actually get to see that fully in motion in season 2, because with the character Philomela, she sees herself in her, and she's like, God, this is how I was acting. What the heck? We gotta fix this chick, you know? Like, and I love stories like that, because when you can recognize someone's like drowning or sinking that you went through, you never want anybody to feel like that ever. And so for her to cause that, for her to like help somebody else who dealt with that same thing is so eye-opening. And she asks other people to help this person, and I was like, that's character growth. Thank God, you know. And so getting to see her develop that in season 2 was made me really excited for her as a character, and as like just loving her as a person, just watching her. It was amazing, and I just love the show so much. But yeah, it was cool. But I think season 2 I think I saw more of the growth with her, and I think that made me more excited to record the next season. Thanks for that question. Someone had a question over here?
I did. It has nothing to do with the show. I apologize.
That's okay.
I just wanted to kind of know, was it a love of anime that got you guys into doing voice acting, or I mean, was it just something you guys fell into? Just curious.
I had not watched any anime before this. I'm old as dirt. So, well, I'm young dirt. Okay. My only exposure to anime was a little show called Speed Racer.
Oh, yeah.
So when I was growing up in the early 70s, we didn't care that the flaps didn't match. We didn't care that Speed's mouth kept moving or stopped moving and the voice was still going. We didn't care because it was so dramatic. It's about racing. Ooh, yes. And but I always loved animation because I was a huge Looney Tunes, Warner Brothers fan and that sort of thing, among other animation shows, and I loved to do voices and that sort of thing. So I've been an actor for 40 years. So it was just kind of, like you said, a natural progression. It's like, this is another outlet, another way to make a living, to do other things. And so I think it was in 2007 when I did my first anime show for Crunchyroll, or Funimation back in the day. Yeah. So.
Like Brian Stewart, I've always been an actor. I've done theater since I was 6, so not Broadway, I wish. But just like community theater and all other things like in cities and stuff, I've done that my whole life. And I've read the animes, but even as a kid, I played video games. Like Super Mario 64 is my favorite game of all time. I used to he's great, but the first is better. I when I was a kid, I would play the game and do the voices just to myself because I'm a theater kid. So whenever I did that, I would just do that to myself. And as a kid, you don't realize it's a person doing the voice; you just know the voice. So and Cree Summer is one of my inspirations for voice acting. So when I found out it was actually the job, I was like, okay, I need to figure out how to get into this because with theater, you're kind of limited because of how you look. And I was like, I don't want to be limited as an actor. That's one of our, and being limited just because of how you look or whatever you got going on sucks. Especially when you do something. I couldn't be a little lady in a lot of the old school music. Something sucks. Or my.
But that's changing.
Yes.
But
yeah, I wanted to do something different where I didn't feel judged by the way I looked. And I was like, well, Cree Summer can play all these she's in Clifford the Big Red Dog. I grew up with that. This next door. She played there's so many, I can't think, but she played a lot of characters that do not look like her. And I was like, I want to do that. So I did my research and I started my journey in 2013, and I didn't book anything until 2016. So it was a long journey, but it was so well worth it. And because of that, we have even more people who are inspired, who were like, I'm not limited by the way I look, I can do it. And it makes me so happy because it's like, yes, we can do this, And that's how I kind of just went into the voice acting world, because I was like, okay, theater, bye. I still love it, mind you. I got to do The Importance of Being Earnest last year, or earlier this year, and that was so fun. Oh my god. I got to play Gwendolyn, and that was really fun. If anybody hasn't seen The Importance of Being Earnest, please watch it. There's a British play on it on YouTube for free. It's hilarious. It's very wordy, but it's wordy on purpose. And Oscar Wilde, if you've heard of that author. But anyway, that's how I Any other questions? Voice acting for the show and in the back.
Anyone in the front?
Don't be scared about that. Yeah.
Yes, sir?
What's your favorite line?
Oh, that's a lot of words.
I don't know. You know what? I remember one of my lines that I say about 40, 11 times is "Chise." What'd you say? And I have about 47 anomalies of that word. No, I don't have a favorite. But you know, the quotes that come up to the table are
Yes.
usually pretty consistent.
There was one today, and I can't remember what it was, but it was really good. I don't know, it's hard.
Yeah, that's hard. Because I don't. First of all, I don't watch it enough. Even though I recorded it, I don't watch it enough. Because I can't watch. I don't watch a lot of stuff that I do. I don't. The reason why is because I'm too critical to watch it, so I can't enjoy it. Because I'll watch something like, oh, yeah. And then it comes something else and you're like, oh, cringe. You know, so it's very hard to watch it, anything with, you know, kind of a clear conscience.
Yeah. You literally have to turn your brain off if you want to like actually pay attention and listen to your stuff.
Yeah.
Oh no, I think I remember one. When she's episode 3, towards the end, when she's doing that little ritual thing, she's like confronting. Is it Angela? Not Angela. What's her name? No, the blonde chick with Alice. Thank you. Yes, like something with an A. She's like confronting her. And then, because I think they were trying to kidnap her or do something, sorry, it's really where she's talking to him, and then at the end of her monologue, she says, "I will always belong to him." And I was like, oh, yes. Because I know people have problems. It's like, he's buying slavery, and blah, blah, blah. It's like, it's not like that. It's not human trafficking. It's you have to understand the faith rule. And it's hard to explain that to somebody who doesn't understand anime, especially like the folklore.
Yeah.
Because it's like a lot of Celtic folklore and fairy fade stuff. And if people can't understand that, then it's hard to explain that to them. Because I'm like, how do I explain a slave to somebody who doesn't?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So yeah, I really think that let me just say this. I think that's probably like my favorite book for season 1. Season 2, I don't even remember. That was what this spring.
Mm.
And like, yeah.
Yeah. Other questions? Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I remember you guys thinking over in the middle of like, you were going to couldn't play the bloopers, but someone would reach their favorite blooper moments, like it could be.
Ooh. I don't know.
It's too out of bounds about right now.
Yeah.
For some reason,
I mean, there was actually a conversation this week. I was in the studio recording something, and one of the engineers was talking about how he noticed how many different actors have a certain way of screwing up. We all kind of have our own thing. Like some people be saying a line and like they'll just, oh, I messed up. Sorry, or they'll have a moment of like he was laughing because of what I always do. I kind of have this emotional reaction every time I'll be reading a line and all of a sudden, let's do it again. That's a thing that I do. I don't know what that means. Or there are people that get really, really nasty and curse and shout and everything after they screw up a line and stuff. But it doesn't matter. But it's still funny because we all have this kind of thing because we're having to read these lines and fit this square peg in the round hole, you know. But I don't really remember any particular ones.
Kyle would always have the engineer record me saying "damn it" every time I messed up. But the thing is, because I don't want to obviously shout on the mic, I would scoot away from it and go, "Damn it!" So he would record that. So he just played that randomly. Like, what are you doing?
I know those would be gold playlists, especially for this group here, you know. And it's really nice to have these kind of conversations with you guys because you know the show better than we do, which is really cool because then you can ask really in-depth questions and you know way more about the show because you've watched the show 47 more times. That's my favorite number, I guess. That's what I'm saying today. You've watched the show 47 times more than we have. So you know the ins and outs and that sort of thing. And with that, you'll also see some kind of inconsistencies sometimes. Maybe, I don't know. Or you'll see how things progress or how the vocal style might change and things like that.
Especially in like the first season.
Yeah, and we've talked about that a lot, how, one of the challenges is that, Chise is in this moment, she is young girl, she's afraid, she's she's coming out of this situation in this new situation. Bone Daddy doesn't really have, he's figuring this out as he goes along, and he's trying to figure out, you don't like that? They're calling it that, girl.
I know, but I was not expecting you to say
They're
that.
calling it Bone Daddy, let's just say that. I mean, y'all act like you never, it's like, oh, that, I'm like, that's what y'all are calling it online. Anyway, but it's interesting because we all, as people anyway, as human beings, we make evolutions in our voice and how we talk and how we respond to people. And you really don't think about it. I think you're sitting here today thinking about, I don't really talk any different than I did 2 or 3 years ago.
Yes.
Actually, you do, because you have deeper relationships with the person sitting next to you, or you have, or you've had other things happen to you. Your environment has changed and things like that. So you tend to sound different. So, and as you evolve, you get more comfortable. And yeah, so that makes it really interesting.
Oh yeah, because at first,
Sorry.
oh.
At first, in the beginning, here we go.
Because at first I wanted to do what I was not. I wanted to do what the Japanese was doing. Yes. The voice actress for Chise, I wanted to go as low as she did, but Kyle told me no, and I was like, why? He's like, I don't want to do exactly what they do. I want to hear what you do. And I was like, okay. So that's why she sounds a lot higher than the J does. And like, cause somebody asked me that before at a con. I was like, well, the director didn't want to do that. And that was a choice that we made. And it actually worked because a lot of people said they liked it better because she's 15. She's not 18, she's not 19. She's a teenager. And not a lot of teenagers sound like this, It's like, so, I mean, some do. You know what? Never mind, we're not going there. But yeah, it was interesting. So trying to stay that consistent with this character was hard at the beginning, but once we found the flow, it was really easy. It was easier. So yeah. Yes, I don't know who asked that question.
Since you said that you don't really watch anime outside of work, what was your first impression of Bone Daddy?
See, I just opened a big Pandora's box. The question was, what was your first impression of Bone Daddy? The short answer is I don't know. She's like, get to the point. I knew that he was like this wizard thing. I didn't really know what he looked like. None of us did. He's a mage. Or a mage. That's something a dog has. I know mage. And that his delivery was kind of emotionless, and not to reference Dr. Spock, but that was the thing that came up, and we were like, okay, something that ilk, right? And the first kind of encounters with her, I was like, well, this is weird, right? But we soon found out that, and I actually mentioned this in a panel yesterday, he doesn't know any different. He doesn't know any better, but he is open to understanding why humans do the things they do and how they react, or why they react in certain things. So for example, yesterday we were talking about this, when he has her in the bathroom and wants to take a bath. The whole goal is there, you're mine, I want you to get clean, and then we'll move on to the next thing. That's it. It's like, you're a piece of property, I've got to do this, this is what I was told I was supposed to do, I really don't know why you're doing that, but this is why we have to do this. Oh, and it makes you uncomfortable. Why is that? Why does it make you uncomfortable? You're sitting in water. You put the soap on, you do this, I don't, yeah, and she's going, that was my impression of Danny Chan. You're welcome. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, and so, yeah, that was kind of my first thing with him. Was like, okay, he's got a long way, but he's come a long way. You know, because in the second season, you really see him struggling to understand. He's like, ooh, I really want to know why she's reacting like that, why she feels this way. And we have those glimpses where he's going, I think I might be feeling something here. I really don't know what that is. You know, because he wants to justify everything, so, yeah.
Oh, like that one scene, okay, well, that's spoiler, I can't tell. Well, no, okay.
Is it really a spoiler?
Yeah.
Is there anybody in here who's never seen the show? Okay, we're gonna set up a streaming just for you.
So there's a scene in like towards one of the last episodes in season 2 where Elias splits himself. So they have to go do something to save this person, and she said like it does that whole thing. It's like she said you have an idea, and she's like, and then and Elias is like, what? And then it shows him like split in two so they can like do the plan. And he's like, you know, I'm getting kind of tired of you asking me to do these elaborate plans. And I was like, he showed emotion. Like, yes, hallelujah. So it was like, grow. He's learning. And so he's learning how to be sarcastic and he's learning how to be like a dick. And it's really great. And it's like finally some kind of emotion where I can just like, oh, I can laugh with this guy now.
Yeah, I think it's the same thing whenever he says die.
Yeah.
because that has got the single word has made this whole not transition but journey of he has these moments of sarcasm when he says die, and I'm like, you're getting sneaky. Learning how to.
It's like he means it though.
Yeah,
yeah. Like Simon, the little priest guy who's just trying to help. He's like, yeah, I'm just trying to give you this bread. Die. And you're like, okay, all right, thanks. Yeah, you had a question in the back?
Yeah, I'm both voice actors. I'll ask this. For people who are interested in doing the voice acting thing, or interested in being involved, what would you say the first steps for that? Me personally, I did choir. I did that. I got professional stuff in college to perform with that with my college group. How would I go on? Or any of us would go on from there, from that who had that type of
Yeah, that's the begin. That's definitely the beginning. Is learn how to act, because it's called voice acting, not voice talking, right? And so you're already on that journey. Take acting classes, take improvisation classes, anything that's going to allow you to have that outlet to express and talk and talking. You got to practice reading things aloud.
Yes.
And it's like, yeah, but I read all the time. No, you have to use the whole mechanism. And if you have the capability to record yourself, just so you can get used to hearing yourself. Most people don't want to listen to the sound of their voice, but you have to get used to how it sounds, because the tape don't lie. So you have to understand, oh, wow, I really sound like this. Now, I'm not going to say what's a negative or a positive, because you might have a quality in your voice that sounds very nasally. And if that's something that works, then that's something that works. You could use that for a character. But people are like, oh, I don't really have a good voice. So, well, how many people have you heard in your life that had very strong personalities, but they also had really interesting voices. They, you know, yes.
Perfect example, Richard Corbin's, Invader Zim, Moxie, Hell of a Boss. I actually took classes with him. He's amazing. He's an amazing teacher. Holy crap. But he talks about that. He's like, can you imagine me as Superman, like as a voice of Superman? And I was like, well, no. He's like, it's okay. I'm not offended. I was like, no. He's like, right. Like what? If they design like a type of nerdy Superman, could you see that? I was like, yeah. It's like exactly. So it just depends on the character. So if you think you don't have a voice for, you know, the stereotypical anime protagonist, who cares? Who the hell cares? Because anime is so diverse and so random at times. You can what's the one show? Aharen is Indecipherable. So you seen that one? It's about a girl who barely talks, and it's kind of like that. It's a different, rather same one, but it's really funny. It's about a girl who doesn't really talk much, and she meets a guy who they try to get her to talk. And so you would think she's like, oh, this cute little innocent little baby. No, she barely speaks. She speaks.
Yes,
She
please.
speaks like this. That's it. That's and like that's it. And it's like, really? I just gotta whisper for this character? Yeah. Sweet. So you never know. There's all types of different characters that your voice could be suited for that you may not even know. So like if you're doing auditions now for like indie games or like indie animations or anything like that, just give it a try. You know, because you never know. You can book something that may not be in your wheelhouse, but you can do it. Just, I always say, if it hurts, stop. Just don't do it. Because sometimes they'll have you record for like 4 hours. And if you can't sustain it for 4 hours, don't do it. Because this is your moneymaker. So please take care of your voice. But yeah, just try it, because you never know. Just don't blow your voice out. And I will say this. If there's a character that you want to try and you're like, ah! No, don't do it. Because it's, like I said, this is your moneymaker. You don't blow it out. Like Austin Tindall, was it Austin? No. Thank you. Was it Austin Tindall? No, it was
Oh no.
Aaron Dismute. Aaron Dismute. No. Yeah, last year Aaron Dismute, he blew out his voice and he couldn't record for like 3 months. He had to get surgery. So please take care of your voice if you want to be a voice actor. Tea, money. Don't drink soda during sessions. Sleep.
No talking. But and so with all of that, you're constantly training and learning things. How to set up recording in home, that's a whole other conversation. It's not even that necessary because 95% of the stuff that I've recorded for Crunchyroll has been in the studio. The only time that I recorded from home was during COVID. And that's a whole other story to tell you about. But yeah, and then just putting yourself out there, and as far as making vocal choices, yeah, you got to be careful because sometimes you might make a vocal choice and you get stuck, 10 years later going, Luffy! So, yeah. So, and that's a transition that I had to kind of develop of how to make Garth's voice work without blowing my own voice out, because I had gone in for that very first session. I didn't know that it was going to be something that was going to go on and on and on. They were like, oh, you're going to play this grandpa, and he's really gravelly, and in this first scene, he's like half asleep, he's eating his donuts, and this kind of thing, he says, whatever. And I'm like, okay, well, I've been awake for 3 days, And so I was doing that, and I was like, oh, God. Why did I make that choice? And I'm like, no, that's it. Let's do that. Like, okay, 2 weeks later, we got another session for you. You go to that Admiral Garth guy. I'm like, oh God, I gotta do this again, And sometimes you have, like you said, you have to really take care of yourself and be aware of the choices that you're making, because a few weeks ago we recorded Galaxy Impact. Those of you that follow One Piece. And it's a lot. It was a lot. It was a lot of my voice. So it was like the rest of the day I was going, I'm not talking, because it was really vocally demanding. So,
Yeah.
Other questions?
Got like 10 minutes left.
You could have any meal cooked by Silver Lady herself.
Oh!
That is a fan question. I love it.
That bangers and mash that she made. I love bangers and mash, and she had that so crisp. I was like, damn, I love that. Silky's bangers and mash. That is
Silky's bangers and mash.
I love mashed potatoes.
Okay. You know, I just want, every time I have watched the scene where Elias is sitting in his like little warm living room area when he's drinking tea, I'm like, I want to just do that. I just want to hang out and drink tea with Bone Daddy and just talk about things. So Elias, let's talk about sports. No, that wouldn't be me because I don't talk about sports.
I just want her to redecorate my house. Because that one episode, she's like, I'm just gonna get a house makeover. Here's some new wallpaper, here's some new furniture. Like, she can do that? Like, that was amazing. I'm like, come to my house.
Who wants to see more woolly bugs, though? I would like to see. I mean, they're my favorite. So I think that would be nice if Elias just carried one and never commented on it. Ever. You know, he's talking to Chise. I think that you should. And the woolly bug's just like, the whole time. I think it would be awesome. I love that. And everyone else is trying to comment. It's like,
He's like, what?
what do you need? Tell me, how does that make you feel? Yeah. Other questions?
Serious question. So every season there's shows that come.
Why is Elias so sexy? That's the question you were going to ask. I know. Well, I ask myself that every day.
That is just an understood question there.
I had to since we got set up. Go ahead.
But the second question. So, every season the shows come out, and then some of them, for whatever reason, they're talked about a few months, and then it's just isn't probably talked about more. You have to really search for people to talk about the show. This is an IP that kind of people still, a lot of people talk about, a lot of people rewatch right there and really connect with. From knowing the type of performances you wanted to give from the director, and then hearing the response from the fans, why do you think that it's kind of kept going as much as it has with fans?
I just feel like for any anime, it just circulates. Sometimes things just like, hey, have you heard something? Usually it's like word of mouth. It's like, oh, have you heard of this show? Like, oh no, and then they just start watching it, and then it gets talked about, and then it gets, it's just like rumors and stuff. They just spread. But I think sometimes during the fall is when I hear more about Ancient Magus Bride, because like it's a very cozy anime. It has cozy moments, like there's Christmas episodes and stuff like that. So, and it's based in England, so that is like a cozy kind of thing. So, I don't know. I think it just depends on like how the mood is and like people's cultures and stuff.
TikTok, social media.
Maybe it's like
That too.
technology too. That's what threw me.
The what?
That's helping technology.
Yeah, that too. Yeah, when people, I saw a random video yesterday on Instagram about the Wandering Jew, which Carter Felix was based on, and it gave like the look. I was like, what? So it's really you come in. We're almost done. But it talks a lot about. That's kind of cool. So I guess it kind of like makes people want to dive deep into that, where it's from or other references there are.